On Mother's Day, I received a card and my daughter made me read it aloud. Roses are red, violets are blue. You're a heavy burden. No one wants you here. Everyone laughed at me. My name is Grace. I am 74 years old, and that was the worst humiliation of my life. It was Sunday morning. Sunlight streamed through the living room windows as I arrived at my daughter Danielle's house to celebrate my day. I wore my favorite green dress, the one that always made me feel elegant and brought fresh flowers and treats for my grandchildren. "Grandma Grace!" the little one shouted, running toward me. Their hugs filled my heart with joy. For a moment, everything seemed perfect. Michael, my son-in-law, barely greeted me with a dry nod. Danielle came out of the kitchen, smiling, but her eyes did not reach it. "Mom, so glad you made it. We have a special surprise for you." I sat on the sofa, surrounded by family. The grandchildren settled at my feet, full of anticipation. Danielle pulled a pink card from her purse and handed it to me. "It's from all of us, Mom. Read it aloud so everyone can hear." My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. The card had little flower drawings made by the kids. How sweet, I thought. I began to read in a clear, excited voice. "Roses are red, violets are—" My voice cracked. The next words hit me like punches. "You're a heavy burden. No one wants you here. Your time has passed. It's time for you to go. Signed, your family who can't stand you anymore." The silence that followed lasted 3 eternal seconds. Then Michael laughed, a cruel, mocking laugh. Danielle covered her mouth, but I could see she was laughing too. Even the children, not fully understanding, giggled because the adults were. "Did you see your face, Mom?" Danielle said between laughs. "You should have seen yourself, Michael. Did you get a picture?" My heart shattered. Tears rolled down my wrinkled cheeks. The card fell from my trembling hands to the floor. "It's just a joke, Mom," Danielle said, but her voice held no remorse. "Don't take it so seriously. You've always been so dramatic." Michael picked up the card. "Yeah, Grace, we were just playing around. But lately, you've been a bit too present. Maybe you should consider other options." "Other options?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Well, Danielle said, sitting across from me, there are some really good senior living communities for people your age, places where you can be with people like you. You'd be more comfortable." The words senior living rang in my head like a death sentence. My own children wanted to get rid of me, as if I were old furniture. "But I thought I was coming to celebrate Mother's Day with you," I whispered. "And you are, Mom," Michael interjected, condescendingly. "It's just time to be realistic. You're not young anymore. You need special care, and we have our own lives." The grandchildren looked at me confused. The oldest, barely 8, came over and took my hand. "Grandma, why are you crying?" Before I could answer, Danielle pulled him away. "Come here, son. Grandma's fine. She's just being sentimental." I sat there feeling lonelier than I had ever had. On the day meant to celebrate my motherhood, my own daughter had publicly humiliated me, turning me into the family's cruel joke. I slowly stood, my legs shaking. I should just go. "Okay, Mom," Danielle said, not even standing to say goodbye. "We'll call you later." I walked to the door, holding on to what dignity I had left, but inside, my world had collapsed. That night in my empty house, I cried until I had no tears left. But something had changed. The humiliation awakened a strength that had been dormant for years. It was time for my family to learn the truth about who Grace really was. The next day, I blocked them all. But first, I needed to remember how I had reached this painful moment. I sat in my favorite armchair, the same one where I had nursed Danielle 45 years ago, and let the memories flow like a movie. It all started when I was 29. Danielle's father abandoned us when she was only 3. One morning, he was simply gone, leaving a note on the kitchen table. "I can't do this life. I'm sorry." He didn't even say goodbye to his daughter. That night, holding Danielle as she cried for her father, I whispered, Daddy had to go far away, my love, and promised myself she would never go without anything. And I kept that promise. I worked double shifts at the textile mill for 15 years. My hands were calloused from sewing uniforms late into the night. Every extra cent went to Danielle's education. When she was 17 and wanted to study nursing, I sold my mother's jewelry, the only valuable thing I owned, but I saw her bright eyes and didn't hesitate a second. "Mommy, are you sure?" she asked. "My love, your education is the most important thing," I told her. During her 5 years at university, I worked weekends cleaning offices. I would come home with a wrecked back, but seeing Danielle studying at the dining room table made it all worth it. The day of her graduation, I cried with pride. "We did it, Mommy," she said, hugging me tight. "This wouldn't have been possible without you." Later, she met Michael. At first, I liked him. Polite, hardworking, genuinely loving. When they married, I paid half the $12,000 wedding they had been saving for years because I wanted my daughter to have her dream day. "Mom, this is too much," Danielle protested. "Nonsense," I said, smiling. "It's the most important day of your life. You deserve it." When they bought their first home, I gave them $25,000 for the down payment. It was everything I had saved, but seeing them happy in their new home filled me with satisfaction. Then came the grandchildren, two beautiful little ones who became the light of my life. When Danielle returned to work after maternity leave, I became their free babysitter. Every day for 3 years, I walked 6 blocks at 6 a.m. to make breakfast, get the kids dressed, take them to the park, feed them, bathe them, and read to them. When Danielle returned home, the house was clean, the kids were happy. "I don't know what we'd do without you, Mom," she used to say. "You're an angel." But gradually, something changed. My opinions were seen as interference. My suggestions were dismissed. When the youngest had a persistent cough, Michael said, "Grace, we're the parents here." I stayed quiet, thinking maybe I was too nosy. Then subtle comments started. "You don't have the energy you used to, Grace. Maybe you should rest more at home." But I kept going. I kept helping. I kept giving my all. 2 years ago, when Michael lost his job, I gave them $500 a month so they wouldn't lose the house. Temporary, they said. 6 months later, Michael got a new job, but they never told me to stop sending the money. When the kids needed computers, I paid $2,000. When Danielle's car broke down, I gave $4,000. When they wanted to remodel the kitchen, I contributed $8,000. Little by little, I became the silent provider, always there to solve their financial problems, but no longer invited to important family decisions. A year ago, Danielle organized a family dinner for Michael's birthday. "It's just a small thing," she said. I later saw on social media that 20 people were invited, everyone except me. That night, I cried in silence, but told myself it must have been an oversight. Oversights became routine. They forgot my birthday, canceled lunch dates, acted annoyed when I showed up. The final straw came 3 months ago when I overheard Michael on the phone. "Yes, my mother-in-law lives alone. She's becoming dependent. We're looking at options to move her to a proper place." I froze. My own son-in-law was planning to get rid of me, as if I were old furniture. They didn't know something crucial. I had money. My mother had left me a property in Nassau, Bahamas when I turned 70, investments, a beachfront condo, and nearly $400,000 in accounts I never touched. They thought I was a poor old woman living on Social Security. After the Mother's Day humiliation, something inside me broke. It was time for them to learn Grace's true value. I stayed up all night holding that cruel card. "You're a heavy burden. No one wants you here." The sadness slowly turned into clarity and determination. For the first time in decades, I saw my situation honestly. I wasn't a burden. I was the one keeping them afloat. I reviewed my finances. In 5 years, I had given Danielle and Michael $67,000 for house payments, weddings, kids' needs, repairs, all treated as their right, while they treated me worse every day. That night, I made the hardest decision of my life. I canceled automatic transfers, closed the joint account, changed my will, and planned a trip to NASA. I was finally taking control of my life. I also wrote letters to Danielle and Michael explaining that they would no longer receive my financial support and that my inheritance would go to a foundation for abandoned seniors. For the first time in my life, I felt free. I was finally valuing myself, and they would finally understand what they had lost.